Okay, so imagine if we had a normal line of code. For an example, we had an equation. This equation could be anything. It could be a number plus a number, two numbers multiplied by each other. Any equation. We set this to equal something, which is going to be our variable. For this diagram, we're going to call it an outcome. So when put to an if and else statement within Python, it processes fundamentally in a way like such. If this outcome, so the answer to our equation, met a certain condition that was contained in the if statement, then it would follow through and do the following commands or lines of code that are indented or contained within the if statement. Now, it's in green because think of it as if statements are normally what we want the outcome to be. So, say we had an equation that's 2 plus 2, we would say if the outcome equals 4 or is 4, then follow through and do the rest of the code. How an else statement is put to it is basically in a way of everything that didn't meet the criteria of the if statement. So if we had the outcome to be an equation that's 2 plus 2 and it somehow didn't equal 4, and in the if statement we had it intended to be if the outcome is equal to 4 and it wasn't 4, it would go to the else statement and it would do all the lines of code within that else statement. So it would go, Python would go, okay, it gets its equation, it goes to the if statement. If it meets the if statement, then it will go inside and it will do all the code inside the if statement. And if it got its equation, it checked the if statement and none of it met the criteria, it would move forward to the else statement. It would do all the code contained within the else statement instead. So in plain English, it's basically if such equals such, do such. Anything else, do the else part. So we'll move to the coding terminal now and we'll go through some Python examples of if-else statements and how they work when compiled. Okay, now that we're in the terminal, we can run through a few of these examples in Python code and how they're laid out within Python. So we can call them decisions in Python for a summary. So they're sets of decisions or conditions. So if we start off with a variable, just called x, and we let this x equal 5, for instance, so just x equals 5. Then we write our if statement, if x, and then x will be our outcome relating back to the diagram. So we type if x, now double equals because we're determining does x equal 5? We're not setting x to be equal 5. That's the opposite. Now we just put that little double dot at the end and then we write a print statement to see our feedback. So if we run this now, we should get yes in the terminal. There, yes in the right hand side. So I hope that gave you all time to write the code for yourself and run it. If you got that result, we're on the right track. Else statement, just type else just as it is there, indent in, and then type the print no. We run that and we get no when we change x to be less than 5. So no, x is 5, it's not less than 5, so it went to the else statement there. And that's how an else works, simply. Now, I want to show you an else if statement. So this is basically just another if statement. So you can let Python have two separate decision conditions before going to the else statement completely. So this is done with the elif in Python, just how it is there. And then it's laid out just like the if statement. So we're going to write x, and then let's just make it equal to 5. So we'll get the output from the elif statement. So greater than or equal to 5. So yes, x is equal to 5. So it will go to the elif statement this time. It won't go to the if because x isn't less than 5. And it won't go to the else because the else if statement got satisfied. So we run that and we get the maybe. So just run it in your terminal. And if you got that maybe in the right hand corner, then you're on the right track. Now, this is basically a full if, elif, and else statement in Python. It's 3 different decisions. Now we'll do how it relates to a for loop. So if we use a for loop like from the previous video for a number in range, and we do that range of 10 again. So this means it iterates through 10 times basically, and every number is itself. So the first time it iterates 1, second time it's 2, and so on. So now we can say if the number, whatever it is during the iteration, is a certain condition in an if statement, less than 5. So this means 4 of these numbers will be less than 5. So we should get 4 outputs for the first if statement. So we're going to get it to print small. It's just meaning small number. You can get it to print anything. I'm just getting it to print something so we can see that our if else statement is working correctly. Then we do an elif, and let's make that equal to 5. So there will only be one number within the range 1 to 10, that is 5, which is 5 itself. So we should get 5 once, or we should get 5's print statement once. And I think I'm thinking of just making 5 equal, 5 just equal to itself. I think that's the best idea I should go with. So scrap that, I was just playing around there, sorry everybody. But just the elif code, and then number, and then double equals, and then the number 5. So, and I'm just going to write a print statement saying medium, just because 5 is kind of the middle from 1 to 10. But then again, that's just a print statement to see that it's working. You can write anything you want there. And then the else is every other number that wasn't less than 5 or wasn't 5 itself. I'm just going to get it to print large. So if we run this, we'll see what we get in the terminal. There you go. We get 4 smalls, 1 medium, and 5 larges. So that's how it works in for loops. And I hope you all enjoyed this video, guys. This is a quick one, more rapid paced video. Let me know if you like this style of quicker to the point tutorials in opposed to in-depth explanations of the previous 3, and whatever one you guys like more, I'll try to do more of. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this episode 4, where we covered the if and else statement within Python. I hope you can join me in the next episode where we'll be covering our first program. So that'll be a long episode. We'll go through a mini program within Python, and it will incorporate everything from our first 4 episodes to make our first little program. So that should be awesome, guys. I hope I can see you guys there. And without further ado, just tap that like button for me if you liked it. Tap the dislike button if you didn't. And I hope I can see you in the next one. Thanks.